days.
I'm thinking yes, please.
Yes, please, 6 days.
Okay, Claire.
Okay, Jason.
We got some sweeties.
Sweeties all around the table. It's a sweet night.
Why do you say that?
Well, we were joined today by Professor Dr. Reverend Doyle Holbird, as well as Briana Kelly, all the way from Australia. Just never mind. And we talked about creation and evolution and Australia and Oklahoma and, coming to understand our deterioration.
I think there's a lot of range in this conversation. We have some scientific talk, and then some just casual slang talk.
Yeah.
I think this has a really satisfying amount of I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a little whistly.
It's a little whistly.
So, we're around the table, and the idea here, we call this Whistle the Feast. We've got a little button for our two newcomers.
Wow.
That's a members-only button.
Oh.
So, for people who have appeared
Whistle
on the podcast. We call it Whistle the Feast, and why is it called that is kind of a long story. But it has something to do with the Feast of Heaven, the feast of just being with people and enjoying company, not having an agenda, just having conversation around a table. And the whistle part, it's probably not a good idea to whistle while you eat, but it just sounded good, and it has kind of a joyous connotation.
You whistle about it before you get there.
Maybe on the way.
Yeah. People are like, where's they going? Oh, we're going
If you want to hear the
feast.
whole story of why it's called Whistle the Feast, we have an episode in which we recorded ourselves trying to figure out what the podcast is called.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's about 2.5 hours of us working and working and working. It was Nora and Lydia and me about a year ago, maybe more. This is Ash Wednesday on 2026, February 18th.
Probably the middle of summer when they're listening.
That's right. At this point, we're booked out releasing episodes through the end of April so far.
Oh, wow.
We release an interview every Saturday, and then we release what we call snacks throughout the week that kind of just a little reading or a nice little thing that something nice we do. We like to give people little gifts. So if either of you have ideas for readings, that's something we can record after we're done with our conversation. That'll come later.
Okay.
Maybe we should do some introductions. I'm Jason Jaspersen. I'm the host of Whistle the Feast, and we'll go this direction and around the table.
My name is Claire Marcus. I'm a co-host of Whistle the Feast.
My name is Briana Kelly. I'm a guest of Whistle the Feast.
Yeah, and let's say let's say a little bit more about your role on campus.
My role on campus, well, I'm a student. I'm a media arts major. I'm a sophomore, and I films.
Yes, you do. Okay, good enough.
I'm Doyle Holbird, and I'm also a guest of Whistle the Feast, and I teach biology here on campus, mostly upper level, but one lower level biology class. So
Great. Well, our intention is to stumble into content. And sometimes we do that by way of origin stories. We just get at the past and try to understand, well, maybe in both of your cases, how did you end up at Bethany? Tell that story. And then that gives us some jumping off points to branch the conversation and find out where we go. And then, I sort of sense the momentum and at some point realize, okay, well, feels like it's ending. So that's the way this goes. Let's try Briana or Briana? Briana.
Yeah.
Let's try
Okay.
Briana's origin story. We were talking a little bit before the microphones were on about the decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I grew up ELS, and Bethany is obviously very ELS centric. But back in Australia, it's my church and that's it. And I always felt like it's a very small church, and I love the people there, but I always felt like I didn't have much of a community. So coming to Bethany, a very big factor of that was that I was like really seeking that support system in a way that I never felt I really had back home, even though I did have wonderful people around me. And then I did a lot of film in high school, and realized I really enjoyed that. But then I got really scared about pursuing film because it is a very competitive industry. But then I took some time off after high school, and I worked, and I built my confidence. And my sister went to Bethany, so I knew a lot of people and about the people here, and I went, I think it's time to throw myself into something that I think I need and want. And I had heard good things about the media arts program.
Tell us about that commute.
It's very long. Normally I would go, I go Brisbane through either Dallas or San Francisco. Dallas is a very good airport. But it's about, I can never remember which way it is, but one way it's 12 hours, the other it's 14 hours. And then it's an additional 4 hours from San Francisco to Minneapolis, the flights. So it's a full day of traveling. And then the time zone, with daylight savings, it's 15 hours ahead is Brisbane. Right now it's 16.
So when you call home, you have to be very conscious of time of day.
It's not as bad as it seems. The only times I would be calling home is in the afternoon after classes and stuff. And by 3 or 4 p.m., my parents are up. 3 or 4 p.m. our time.
Yeah.
They're up the next morning.
It's breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not too terrible.
I experienced this when I talk with Maida and Colin in Chiang Mai, Thailand. They're now with daylight savings, they're 13 hours ahead. So it's the same kind of thing where it's upside down ish.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not that big of a deal. You just have to learn it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you made this decision. You made the commute. Did you fly alone?
Yep. I had flown once to the U.S. with my sister to visit my other sister when she was currently a student at Bethany. So I had done the trip before. But, yes, I set out on the 2nd of January, 2025, all alone. And I got in, and I got picked up by the Bethany van for international orientation. And we had about 2 days to get ready for classes to start, because I started in the spring semester.
Yeah.
So it was
jet lag.
I really did just throw myself into it, because there was no way to do it halfway.
Right.
Right.
What's it feel like to arrive?
It was surreal. I was in the van, and I was sitting there, I was like, hey, this is fun. And then I am in an entirely different continent. I've been thinking about coming to the school for 2 years at that point. I'd been thinking about it. And I kind of didn't think it would happen. And I got my student visa in December, because there's a really tight window to get that stuff sorted. And so there was always a chance it wasn't going to happen until mid-December.
Wow.
A couple weeks before I got here. It was there was no reason they would have denied my visa, but they could have. And so there's this whole thing where it's well, it still might not happen. It still might not happen. Oh, it's happening.
So emotionally, you have to prepare yourself for the letdown if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I didn't tell very many people until I had my student visa. I told a couple of my closest friends. Obviously, my entire family knew. And then I got my student visa, and I then made an Instagram post. I'm hey, everyone.
Wow.
I'm leaving. I think part of it was a little easier because I did go home over the summer, so it was only 5 months I was gone for the first stretch. But it was very much there was that fear until I had that visa in my hand that it wouldn't work out. And then I got here, and it still hadn't, it hit me a little bit when I got the visa, But I also got violently ill right after like the interview. I got very sick, and then my visa arrived, and I'm like recovering from being ill. And I have like 2 weeks. And then I was here, and it was like 30 minutes into the van ride from Minneapolis to Mankato. I went, whoa.
What happened?
Yeah.
Where am I?
Yeah.
You woke up in America. How about those 5 months before you go back home? What's your first semester feel like?
Before getting here, I was very concerned that I would feel alone. I didn't know how homesick I would be, but I ended up being very, very blessed, and I got along so incredibly well with my roommates, who are still my roommates except for one of them because she became an RA and abandoned us. But
it's okay to name names.
Well, it would be a compliment because she was a wonderful roommate to have.
Well, it's still okay to name names.
Abby Hartwig, come back to us, please. Quit your job.
To us, Abby.
Quit your job. Quit your job. But so,
yeah, it kind of felt like when you showed up, you just were meant to be here all along. Like none of us really recognized, oh, this new person. It was like she blended so well with her roommates, and then they were just kind of like, you know, bringing Briana around, and I was like, this is perfect. This is great.
Yeah, it really did feel like I was welcomed with open arms immediately.
To be clear, was that your freshman year? You were coming in second semester?
Yes. Yeah.
And are you the same age as Claire?
We're the same age, but I'm a junior and she's a sophomore.
Yeah, because
because of when you started.
Year.
Yes, because I took time off after high school.
I see.
So then.
Okay.
But yeah.
But from Claire's perspective, she just fits.
Right.
Which is great to hear.
Yeah.
But no, I was very, very blessed to be welcomed so easily and to find people that I felt like I clicked so well with.
Yeah. Did you ever have doubts that, what did I do? I don't know if I really want to do this.
Once I was here?
Yeah.
Not super bad. I mean, leading up to finals week, there was a couple moments where I was like, I am so stressed right now. Why am I here? What did I do? But it was more just a feeling of I do have to handle all of my own problems now. And there's a lot of them because I have a lot of like responsibilities as a student to get things done on time and to study and do my best. But there hasn't ever been a serious moment of regret or ever any regret at all. That's just the fear, I think, is I've had. But I can't say there's really been any actual regret in coming here.
Well, we like you too. And how does it feel now? This is your fourth semester now?
Third.
Third.
Yeah.
Okay. How are you doing now?
A little stressed.
A little stressed.
But I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Because I guess that first semester that I was here, I made a lot of just connections in general with other creative people. But these past 3 months, I would say, I've been making more connections in the film world with the other media arts students. Like with Colton and Tyler's capstone project, Captive. I've been helping on that.
And Mason.
That's true.
It's Mason still.
The film is, he's doing the documentary for it. But yes. And like all the other people as well, though, like Lauren Messner and Laura Martinson. And everyone, I'm not going to start naming people because there's too many and I'm going to forget somebody.
Too late.
I can't do it.
Anyways,
I can't do it.
Anyways.
But just having then actually making those connections in what my field of interest has been
huge.
Yes. Mm-hmm. With like, oh yes, I definitely want to do this. These are such amazing creative people. I've learned so much from them. Yeah.
But you've been working hard.
Yes.
What do you do on the film?
I'm first AC. So Colton is director of photography. So he
first air conditioner.
First assistant camera.
Oh, I see.
So I pull
I'll just
focus.
pretend like I know what that means. Yeah. I'll pretend I know what that means. What does pull focus mean?
So when you have a camera, it has a certain field of focus. So like things further away won't be in focus, unless you pull focus.
And as
or the other way.
As actors move, you have to make sure that they're still in focus. So, like, as this whole scene is moving, Brianna's, like, on the dolly, spinning this thing to make sure that the camera keeps what you want in focus.
Yeah. So it's kind of tricky, especially in flashing red lights. Yeah, she's helped a couple times.
I'm the, whatever you call the thing that slaps the thing. Action. Slate. I'm the slate.
Like you hit people with a fish?
No.
Slate. Oh, okay.
Slate. But scene, shot, scene.
Yeah.
Action.
Nice.
Yeah. It's fun.
Do you know why they do that?
To put the sound and the image together.
Yeah.
Also for file organization.
I've learned a lot too. It's a great time on a captive set. But they're done now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Filming at Sweet Haven.
Mm-hmm.
In the Scary Mold.
State Streets Theater.
Scary Mold building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can never breathe too well in that building.
Well, you have a strong imagination.
Like a canary.
Okay, well, we'll call that good for Briana. Doyle, let's try your origin story. And how far back you go is really your choice.
Did you go to Bethany?
No.
Okay.
I've had no connection to Bethany when I came. So I was a member of the Missouri Synod, Lutheran Church Missouri Synod for, well, my whole life. Had gone to seminary and was a pastor in the Missouri Synod in Illinois. And decided I think I'd rather teach than be a pastor. I think my gifts were more on the teaching side than on the administration side, especially after I scheduled 2 weddings for the same day and the same time.
That's so funny.
Yeah, we just changed the times though, and we did okay. But anyway, I started thinking, yeah, maybe these are not my gifts. And so went back to school at Southern Illinois University and got a master's in limnology, which is the study of freshwater biology and ecology and chemistry and things.
Wow.
And then was unable to continue for a PhD, and because my advisor didn't have a grant, and everything at that level in the sciences runs on grant money. So if you want to get a PhD, you have to have somebody who's got a grant to work with. So changed departments, and in fact changed divisions, changed colleges within that university to the School of Medicine, and then got a PhD in cell biology, in physiology actually, officially physiology, but it was cellular physiology. So, and then the reason, what I wanted to do, what I was hoping to do, was be able to teach at one of the Concordia colleges. So the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod at that time had 10 colleges in their system. Now it's down to 6 or 7, I think, or maybe even 5. I don't know. But anyway, got a job teaching at Concordia College in Selma, Alabama. So,
there's a lot of history down there.
Yes,
yeah, civil rights stuff.
That's right. That's sort of the heart of the civil rights movement between Selma and Montgomery and Atlanta and that corridor through there. Mm-hmm. And so taught there at a black college for 7 years, Concordia College, Selma, which was the only historically black Lutheran institution of higher learning in the United States. But they did not have a biology major.
Can I get some approximate years on these? Let's say at Selma.
That would have been from 2000 to 2007.
Okay.
Yep.
Continue.
Okay. Contacted by someone by the name of Herman Otten, whom probably nobody knows, but he writes, or he did. He's passed away now, but he wrote a letter, or a newsletter more, actually a newspaper. It was big enough to be a newspaper. He had written a letter to every campus that belonged to the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod and asked, does your science department teach the theory of evolution as fact? And I said to our President Jenkins, I said, you know what? We got this letter from Herman, And nobody's going to answer it from any other college. Why don't we answer it? Because I was the science department there, and we were completely a college that believed in a 6-day creation, that God created everything in this world in 6 days. And so we answered it, and then a few months later, I got a phone call from Herman Otten, who again was the publisher of that paper. And he said, there's an opening at Bethany. And he had Bethany connections. And so I said, oh, what do you know? He said they've just gone to being a 4-year college. And so they're looking for a biologist. And Concordia Selma didn't have a biology major, and I'd hoped to teach juniors and seniors. And sophomores, for that matter. So I contacted Bethany, and they didn't hire anybody and fill that spot that year. I don't remember who they hired. They hired somebody else on campus and didn't fill the biology spot, and they didn't have the money. So a few years later, they did, and they put out the call for biologists, and so I applied, and what do you know? Here I am. So that's how I ended up here at Bethany.
So it took a few years between your initial contact.
It did. It took it. It may have been as many as 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, before I came and interviewed. Yeah.
And for the record, what do you teach here?
I teach biology. Yeah.
Well.
Okay. So I teach cell biology and genetics and immunology and microbiology and principles of biology. And I think that's it. No, and of course in evolution. Although Nora Janander is teaching that for me this semester. And I'm teaching an extra section of microbiology.
Rumor has it you're leaving.
Well, that is the rumor, isn't it? And we'll see if it pans out. It was supposed to pan out last year, and it didn't.
What do I mean?
That I'm ready for retirement. Yeah. My mother's 94. And she lives in Oklahoma, and my wife's mother is 90. She lives in Arkansas. They live about 3 hours apart. And so our goal is to move down and be able to visit them often, and maybe as much as once a week, and spend a few nights maybe every week, and spend time with them and help out.
Sometimes you preach in chapel.
On occasion. Mm-hmm. I haven't preached yet this semester.
I'm fascinated by the crossover. You're seminary trained.
Mm-hmm.
You served in a parish for how long?
Oh, good question. Full-time, about 7.5 years in the ministry. And then, so I was older when I went back to graduate school. And then 8 years while I was in graduate school, because I had to start over again. When I switched from the zoology department to the medical school, I had to start over completely. So
yeah, so there's a theme here. You've had a couple do-overs in your career. Mm-hmm. You've started over a few times.
Yeah,
and I bring up preaching because we know you so far in this podcast as a biology teacher on campus, but my primary interaction with you is when I sit in the pew and you preach.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're pews, chairs.
Yeah.
And so that fascinates me that here's a biologist who is a pastor. And maybe, Brian Klebig is a similar kind of crossover.
He is, yeah. That's been common, I think, at Bethany through the years, that we've had ordained people serving in roles other than as religion faculty. I think, although I'm trying to think of who was doing. Steve Riegels was one. He was the communication chair of the communication department.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a nice thing at Bethany is we do get that crossover.
Well-rounded perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in the moment when you realized I'd rather teach.
Well, yeah. So
and moment isn't the right phrase. I want to know what's happening inside of you, because that's a big move.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
You had a thing going.
Yes. Yeah.
Which you had committed to. You'd committed a lot of training and a lot of time, and now you're going to go do it again.
Mm-hmm. Well,
It's like Briana deciding to come to America.
Yeah, really, yeah.
I want to know what it's like inside of these people.
So it's interesting you say that, because I guess I didn't see it as a big decision. I just saw it as a continuum, sort of, continuum of learning, and so this will clarify it some. So ever since I was in college the first time, and was just a biology major at Northeastern Oklahoma State University, near where I grew up, I had an interest in evolutionary theory, I guess. So our church body is officially believes in a six-day creation, a biblical view of creation. And so did the Missouri Synod, and officially, and that's what I believed. But about halfway through my biology studies, you're kind of immersed in evolution if you go to a secular university. And the nice thing about where I was in school at that time was there were actually two biology professors who also were committed Christians, and maybe three or four. The others I don't know about, but there may have been three or four, and then there were the others that were hardcore evolutionists. And my mind was changing to begin to accept evolutionary theory. Partly because of the teaching, partly because the textbooks just presented it as such a well-established fact, right? So I began to start thinking, well, this just must be the way God did things. He just created through a process of evolution. And that's where I was, and until one night, one of the professors that I actually had a debate with another professor on campus who was an evolutionist, and they debated together on the truthfulness of evolutionary theory. Was it a fact or was it not a fact? And was it an unproven theory that maybe didn't even have that much evidence behind it, right? If you can convince enough people of something, you might not have to have enough evidence to support it if you have a good enough storyline, right? You might be able to convince enough people to believe it. And so when they had the debate, one of the two gentlemen was presenting scientific evidence, and the other was presenting philosophy. And the guy presenting the scientific evidence was the Bible-believing Christian. And I was just amazed by that. I didn't realize there was evidence against evolution and also evidence for a fairly young creation, not that long ago. In other words, not millions of years ago and not billions of years ago, but maybe not that distant in the past. And so I walked out of there, as did everyone. You couldn't have sat through that debate and walked out believing that the evolutionist had made the better case. You might not have been convinced, but you couldn't think that he made a better case because he had by far lost that debate. And so at that moment, I thought, wow, this is really interesting. All these scientists believe in evolution except for a few. And yet it's those few who are presenting scientific evidence, real evidence. Now, that has changed since then. That would have been about 1978 or 9, which is a long time ago, so I'm dating myself here. Maybe 1980 even, maybe early 80, I don't know. Anyway, that was when I graduated, was 80. So things have changed, and now, and it's because of those debates. So in those days, there were a lot of those debates for about a 10-year period where creationists were debating evolutionists, and they were winning those debates. And so now when you pick up a textbook, there's often a sort of defensiveness where they'll present evidence in favor of evolution. There is evidence in favor of evolution, or nobody would believe it, right? The question is which of those two beliefs does the evidence most support, right? And that's sort of the scientific way to think about it. And anyway, so at that moment I was very interested, and at that moment also I was beginning to consider going to seminary and become a pastor. Now in Oklahoma, it's probably like this where you come from too, except there it might not just be Lutheranism, but where I grew up, Lutheranism was thought of more of a disease than a denomination, maybe.
Whoa, man!
And so it's big.
Say more.
Well, it's big Baptist country, right down there.
Only for big Baptists?
Well, yes. Well, the country is it's a big country for Baptists.
I understand.
And all my friends were Baptists too, and people looked upon Lutherans, especially back then. Now I've not lived there for 40-some years, so I don't know if it's still that way today. Probably not as much.
A little bit.
Is it?
Yeah, I have a good friend from Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of the same vibe. Everyone's still Baptist. And
yes, yeah.
Being Lutheran is kind of like, what does that mean? I don't think it's disease anymore, but it's
well,
definitely like
yes. But they think you're like Catholics.
Right.
Right. And
yeah,
there's sort of a prejudice
sure.
against
Nora
Catholics.
talks about that all the time. She's like, no,
Yeah.
I think I'm Catholic. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so that's what I mean by that. They think you're Catholic, or like Catholics, right? Enough like Catholics that they don't trust you, right? They don't trust you to be Christian, right? And not all Baptists, but many, because I attended a lot of Baptist churches, and but anyway, so I had this interest, and then when I went to seminary, sort of put that on hold until I was able to get out of seminary, and then pick that interest back up. So even as a pastor, I had that interest in the creation evolution debate. And about that time, about when would that have been? When I went back to school would have been 1993. Some really good creation biologists were coming on the scene at that moment, and there was sort of a blossoming of that field. And I thought, you know what, that is something I can do, and that I think I would enjoy, be able to use my skills for the Lord, and also teach students and keep them possibly from buying into the theory of evolution also. And I was a bio major anyway, right? And before I went to seminary, so that's why I think of it sort of as a continuation, going back.
They're interlaced.
Right.
They
yeah.
sort of leapfrog each other.
Yes. Right. It wasn't a big change in my mind to do that. Yeah. It probably was for Mary, my wife, a big change. Right. She wasn't a pastor's wife anymore, and so which was probably sort of gratifying to her, maybe. So anyway, I mean, just, to be able to have friends that didn't think of her as the pastor's wife,
Yeah.
So, yeah, right.
Yeah, there's an archetype there, or a role that.
Yeah, there is a role for the pastor's wife, so at least in traditional churches, and that is a vocation, by the way, that is just extremely important, right? Just to be a pastor's wife is so important, and oftentimes the success of the husband will depend upon his wife, right? And so, yeah, it's just very important.
So I think I want to delve into the debate. Could you concisely present the two sides?
Oh, that part's easy. Yeah. So on the one hand, there's a belief that the universe is many billions. Well, I won't say many, but over 12 billion years old. Last count is something like 15 billion, I think, and it can vary depending upon who the author of a book is or who you're talking to. And that our solar system is maybe around 5 billion or something like that. That's maybe the age of the Earth, somewhere between 4 and 5 billion years. And life began to come into existence on planet Earth as it cooled from a hot molten rock. I say molten rock, but I guess that's what it would be, but a molten blob. And as it began to cool and a crust developed and precipitates began to fall out of the sky, and those precipitates would be things like probably some sulfates maybe, and an early atmosphere began to form, an atmosphere composed of carbon dioxide and methane and ammonia and water vapor. As it began to cool, the water began to coalesce, and this planet cooled finally enough where it wasn't boiling hot, in pools of water. They weren't boiling, and so chemicals began to coalesce and form molecules. And the current view today is probably that some sugars formed, and somehow combined with some phosphates, and then some nitrogenous bases, and as they began to bind together, and nobody knows exactly how those formed. There's people working on that right now, and they've not been very successful. They've been able to get the precursors, but to at least some of the precursors molecules to what we call RNA, which is what it is believed that, which is a cousin of DNA, and everybody's heard of DNA, and that these molecules began to coalesce, and until something was able to catalyze reactions that would combine them into RNA, and then the first. As these molecules of RNA began to I don't know if the word precipitate is not the right word to use there, but began to form. One formed that had its own catalytic activity, and it was able to replicate itself and make another one of itself. And that is considered these days to be the very first living molecule, okay? The first life now is considered to be a molecule instead of a cell. And from that, there's sort of a blank spot between that then, and because life today is protein-based, right? Our life we're kept alive by proteins, by enzymes in our body, and enzymes are proteins. And so we're kept alive by those. And that's, as far as we know, a requirement for life is enzymes. So somehow life switched from RNA to protein. And people who believe that idea partly believe it because when we make proteins, we make them in our cells by these little machines called ribosomes, which are also molecules. They're molecules of protein and RNA, and they read another strip of RNA, and from that reading, they make the proteins that we need. And so that was the first living thing, and it was, several billions of years ago. Eventually, about 1.5 billion years ago. Now it depends on who is telling the story whether they believe it might even be 2 billion or 1.25 billion years ago or something like that, right? But the first living cell came into existence. The first thing that we would say is life as we know it, that has a cell membrane around it and has DNA for its, or it may have even still had RNA for its molecule that contains the codes for all of its proteins. But anyway.
So let me cut in.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yes.
Right. I mean, so the pattern is that there's a timeline, and there are checkpoints of development along the timeline that imply increased complexity.
Increased complexity, and that's driven by an increase in information in the genome. Yeah. And the information is the hard
part. That continues. Is it the stance of evolution today that we're continuing to progress, we're continuing to improve?
Yes. Now, improve, I don't know that they would say that. They might say that.
That implies a judgment, I suppose.
Yeah, they might. Some would. So that was more common to hear things are improving 40 years ago. Now, just changing is probably what most people would say. Yeah, just changing, and as environments change, organisms change to fit their environments, driven by natural selection. Yeah, and mutations. So today, we don't see new living things coming into existence. At least there doesn't appear to be, right? So that stopped somewhere along the line. And so what we see today are just changes among the things that are alive. Some go extinct, right? And then some change, and species diverge and become two species. And we see that kind of thing today too, yeah.
Okay. So do you feel like that's the baseline of that side? That adequately introduces that side of the debate?
So largely. So let me say it this way. That's the conventional wisdom among evolutionary believers or evolutionary theorists. Yeah, that's changing because so much of the evidence doesn't support it. And there's a lot of people now recognizing that the evidence doesn't support it. And so there's if you're interested, you can just Google a website called The Third Way of Evolution. One of the things that you'll see is just a clickable link that will give a list of the names of some major scientists who all believe that Darwin's theory that things change by we'll say neo-Darwin to be more accurate, neo-Darwinism, that things change by mutation and natural selection, acting upon those mutations. They say that is inadequate. Where'd the information in the genome come from? Some of them are asking that question. And here's the interesting thing. So now I believe there are 40 or 50 names now on that website of major evolutionary scientists who are saying Darwinism is inadequate to explain the life that we see on Earth. And what is so interesting about it, you read, there's a little caption under each name that you can read, and they all have, I won't say all, maybe some of them share beliefs, but there are many different views represented there as to how life came into existence and how the life that we see today came into existence. And so some of the views of, you take one of those professors and his views will sort of annihilate the views of some of the other people on that list. And their views will annihilate his if they're true. And so when you say, is that the state of evolution today? Largely it still is, but it's changing. And my guess is that 10 years from now, there will be a lot more people on that list.
That's on brand.
Huh?
It's evolving.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. The theory of evolution is evolving. That's right. Yeah.
So take us to the other side.
Well, those of us who are creationists, now there are different kinds of creationists. There are young earth creationists, which is what we are at Bethany. There are old earth creationists who believe the world is billions of years old, based upon things like radiometric dating and some of that data. But the young earth creationists are probably the extreme view, right? Would be considered by evolutionists to be the extreme view. And
we're the punks.
Yes, yeah. And disingenuous and all other kinds of names that they call us. But we would start with what Scripture says and says. Bible says that the world was created in 6 days. And not only does it say it in Genesis, but it also says it again, and it repeats it again in Exodus. It says, in 6 days God made the world and everything in it. And so on the 6th day on the 7th day you're going to rest, right? And that was in the giving of the commandment, the third commandment, to keep the Sabbath holy. So anyway, we sort of start there, and then we say, well, if this is the case, if the world is not that old, and things didn't evolve into being, there ought to be some telltale signs of that, right? And if we just put our mind to it, maybe we can come up with some of those signs, and maybe we can further the science, the science in our respective fields at the same time. And so sort of a landmark book came out in 2008, I believe, and it was written by a guy named John Sanford, and his book was entitled Genetic Entropy and the Mystery of the Genome. And he was an Ivy League scientist, very famous scientist, geneticist, who came to the conclusion that evolution cannot be true. And he became a 6-day creationist. So he writes this book that contains his rationale. And the rationale is we're accumulating mutations. And he writes it from the perspective of human beings, but it's true for most mammals. Well, for every mammal it's true, but it's more true of some than others. Those with long lifespans, this is true. That our genomes are deteriorating. If our genomes are deteriorating, how did they evolve in the first place, right? It looks more like they were created much better than they are today, perhaps perfect. He doesn't say that in the book, and here's the evidence, and he presents the evidence, and he uses population genetics to make his case. And population genetics is a field of evolutionary biology that deals with the evolution of populations. And so he uses the arguments of the foremost population geneticists in the world to make his case that the human genome is deteriorating, and so big, and we're deteriorating because mutations are creeping into our genome, and these mutations are little mutations that don't affect very much. They're not the mutations that cause a baby to be stillborn. Those are big mutations, right? Natural selection works on those mutations right away. They're selected away. Those people are gone. They never make it to live for very long, right? So if you're speaking in terms of natural selection, those people don't survive long enough to reproduce, right? It's the little ones that keep accumulating because they allow us to survive to adulthood, have children, and they receive those mutations plus they receive 100 mutations, new mutations plus all the ones their parents had, right? Or plus half of the ones their mom had and half the ones their dad had.
So there's a compounding effect there.
Yes, right. And it's beginning to have an effect on the human population. And so I don't remember where this was going. What was your original question there?
Well, I'm trying to set up the sides of the debate.
Yes. So okay. So anyway, we would say. Here's what I was trying to answer was, that the creationists have been for many years looking at the evidence from a different perspective and saying, this evidence doesn't have to be understood from an evolutionary standpoint. It also makes sense from a creation standpoint.
Same evidence with a different lens.
Story.
Yes. And in fact, much of the evidence, it's not a minority of the evidence, it's a lot of the evidence can be looked at in a different way, and much of it supports a recent creation much better than it does a creation from billions of years ago, right? Or just any things evolving into being over millions and millions of years. So, for example, that's a good bit of evidence, the deterioration of the human genome. Now, that supports really a relatively young creation, because if the human race was it's about 200 generations or 250 generations right now, according to Scripture. If it was 600 or 700 generations, we'd be extinct. So there will come a point where we reach mutational meltdown, and unless doctors can fix it, right? unless we know what the correct gene sequence ought to be, and then we can go in and change people's gene sequences, then we might be able to overcome that. The problem is we don't know what is the right gene sequence unless there's a major disorder that's caused by one. We know those, right? We know what causes muscular dystrophy and cystic fibrosis. We know what causes those. Those are big mutations, right? But it's the little ones. And so one of the a guy named Lynch, who is, at least in my view, the foremost population geneticist in the world now, says the human race is deteriorating at a rate of approximately 1% per generation in fitness. And so, and fitness in evolutionary terms means your ability to reproduce, right? That we are losing fitness at a rate of let me say it another way, to your ability to reproduce and have offspring that are capable of reproducing, right? And so we are losing that at 1% per generation. That's not enough to detect in one generation, right? Because there's big overlaps in people's abilities, right? And but he says in 5 generations, that's 100 years, we'll be able to tell it. Because by then it will be a compounding effect of 1% per generation. So it'll be 6 or 7 or 8% maybe by then. And so that's good evidence for a recent creation, right? And not only that, but if you feed in if you feed in some numbers, right? The number of mutations that we're accumulating per generation, on average, every generation of human beings acquires about 100 new ones, right? Now we got 3.2 billion chunks of DNA, I guess, or links in our DNA, or they're called bases, nucleotide bases in our DNA, 3.2 billion. So if one of those gets changed, what difference is it going to make? Right? We got 3.2 billion of them, unless it causes cancer, unless that happens to be the one that causes cancer or causes cystic fibrosis, right, or some terrible, hideous disease. Most of them are not going to cause anything serious. They're just going to keep accumulating, right? And as they accumulate, they slowly affect the fitness of generations that aren't yet to be born. They begin to have a compounding effect as they accumulate. So this implies that the human race hasn't been here that long. So now if you take these mutations and you feed them in to the formulas of the population genetics, so the mathematical formulas, these guys are mathematicians, and you feed these rates into, I won't say all the formulas, but some of the formulas. What's interesting is you will get a decline in the age that people live, and it will appear in the form of what's called a biological decay curve. So if you start people out living at 1,000 years, what's very interesting is, and you take that formula and you start people out with an age of 1,000 years, and then say you get this many mutations per generation. What happens? And the lifespan decays at a rate that with a curve that's going to look like this.
This is an audio format.
Rhythmic.
Yeah, sorry, I know, but you can see it. So
there's a steep decline at the beginning.
Yes, a steep decline at the beginning, and then it will start leveling off, and it'll approach the x-axis asymptotically, right? Which means it's going to take a long time to get there where people are extinct, right? But you can fit.
So that description sounds familiar.
Yeah, you can fit the ages starting with Noah and then his son's ages to that curve.
Like a half-life graph.
Yes.
Logarithms.
Very
right?
similar.
Yeah.
Very similar, yeah.
So what you're saying is we think that we have data from the last 200 years since the Enlightenment, but we have old data. The Bible presents us with these ages.
Yeah, and it fits that decay curve just very well. And so, I mean, as well as anybody's data from a laboratory fits it. I mean, there's never a perfect fit. But so anyway, so the creationist view is right that there's evidence out there for young creation. Let's go out and find it.
Does that deterioration evidence also support an end to humanity, like Judgment Day, or? Well,
it wouldn't support spiritual concepts, right? Like a Judgment Day or something like that. This would just be it's a purely physical, it's a genetic phenomenon. So we wouldn't be able to fit it to something like that. Yeah.
So as I see it, just trying to synthesize this, bring it down to a couple core beliefs. Mm-hmm. It seems to me that it's an argument about, are we getting better or are we getting worse?
Yes, right.
Progress? Do you believe in progress, or do you believe in deterioration? Do we see deterioration? Do we see increased complexity, increased?
Mm-hmm. Right. So what would we see if it weren't for modern medicine? We'd see an average lifespan of 40 or 50 years again. I mean, right? We'd be just like our great grandparents, right? The average lifespan back then.
So there's a breaking point there. You said modern medicine. Things changed, and that change coincides with the development of this theory. Approximately.
Of which theory?
Well, let's say evolutionary theory. Just this whole idea is a 150, 200-year-old.
Well, Darwin. So if you think about it, I always think when I teach my class, I talk about it in terms of our Civil War. When about 1859, I believe it was, when Darwin published the first edition of his book, and it was very popular. Sold out in one day, right?
Wow.
The first 1,000 copies, and in the United States, we're building up to the Civil War, right? And so it was not a big issue in the United States then. I mean, we had other stuff.
We were distracted.
Yeah. Except probably in some of the Eastern universities they would have heard of it and probably been assimilating Darwin's theory there, but it didn't spread a lot in the United States till after the Civil War was over. So yeah, you might be right. So Louis Pasteur lived in the later 1800s, yeah, and that's when Koch lived. So these famous biologists who developed germ theory were alive at that same time that evolutionary theory was coming into vogue, although some of those guys, like Louis Pasteur, fought against evolutionary theory. So, but yeah, they did sort of come along. And then what really extended lives really was the antibiotic age, right? In the early 1900s, when the first ones on the market really were the sulfa drugs, and then came penicillin, and that really was a big game changer. And research started, and the government started throwing tons of money at it. So we discovered a lot of antibiotics fairly quick, and boom, the lifespan. Right. So in the year 1900. Something close to a third of all babies died before the age of 5, right, in the United States. So the antibiotics were a big part of stopping that, and then things like ventilators, being able to keep them alive, and I mean just lots of modern medicine, right? But so there is sort of a correlation in the time during which evolution was spreading and modern medicine, sort of a golden age.
And this is that progress idea.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
we feel like
so.
It's getting better. We can see it's getting better. There's this overwhelming kind of change around the world. It's so much better than our grandparents had it, right? And that keeps on happening. You can understand why people would adopt this belief of progress.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and it was very strong in the 1950s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Very strong, right? Yeah.
It's getting better. It's going to be better.
C.S. Lewis.
Visions of the future.
Mm-hmm. C.S. Lewis was writing against some of those ideas.
Mm.
Yeah.
Can you unfold that?
I can't because I don't remember what it was he wrote.
Okay. But your brain's got that little flag on it.
I know. That's it. That's all I know.
Okay.
If I could think of him, there was a trilogy I think he wrote about that. I just can't bring it into focus.
Wow.
There's a lot of things I can't bring into focus anymore. That's why retirement is coming up.
Well, I'd like to just segue a little bit, and I wonder if in your considerable study and immersion in this realm, Doyle, Dr. Doyle, if you could,
Reverend Doctor.
yeah. I'd like to finish a sentence.
Sorry.
I'm going to try. If you could give us God's fingerprints, are there patterns when we look closer at biology or anything in the created realm? Do we see his signature? Do we see patterns, things that he does over and over at, let's say, fractal sort of scales, like as it is small, so it is large? Can we find his way, his style? I'm an artist.
Well, what you've said just causes me to recall a book. It's about 2.5 or 3 inches thick, very long, by Stephen Meyer, who is a Christian. He's not a creationist, I don't believe, but he does believe that ultimately everything is attributable to God's creation. But he wrote a book entitled "Signature in the Cell," and what he's talking about really. So I mean, there are a million things. So when you go to biology meetings, especially in my area, which deals a lot with medicine and with its physiology, so it deals medicine is applied physiology, so it deals a lot with those kinds of things, and biochemistry and those kinds of things. And there's a phrase you'll hear people say when they give their talks, and so when you go to one of these biology meetings, people are giving talks all day, and you're just listening to talks, and they'll talk about somebody's experiment, and they'll say, George, so-and-so did a really elegant experiment where he showed this, right? And they'll say here, and they'll just mention, he very nearly proved something with his experiment. In the United States, we don't usually in science say something is proved. We say it is supported by the evidence. and so anyway, so that's as close as you can get at these, usually at these meetings, to somebody saying they proved something. Anyway, so he did a very elegant experiment. And there are characteristics of elegance in those experiments. Usually they're the kind of thing that you hear, and it's very simple. It doesn't mean the techniques are simple. The techniques might be very difficult to learn and carry out. But the pattern of thinking behind those experiments is very simple. This leads to this, leads to this, leads to this. And that's what makes it
clarity.
So it leads to an unambiguous result, usually and so they say elegant experiment, but everything in the cell is elegant. Everything. And when I say that, I mean, so you have proteins. They just discovered a new class of protein, and there may be thousands of them in the human being that they never knew were there. So this is new about as of January of last year or December of the year before, right? So just a year or two old. There may be thousands of proteins we never knew because they're very small, and they fit in. This is what they surmise. They fit into the pocket of a larger protein and tweak that protein to make it work better or make it work not as good, to fine-tune it or turn it off or turn it on. And you have proteins in the cell that, so you think about this, how elegant this is. A cell, when it needs to get parts to another part of the cell, it lays down railroad tracks. And then there will be other proteins that have legs and feet that walk on the railroad tracks, carrying a load of cargo called a vesicle, and carrying that load of cargo down the railroad tracks. When they get there, if that's all the cargo that's needed, the railroad tracks will disassemble themselves and go reassemble themselves somewhere else where they're needed. And this is all going on in every cell in your body right now, except maybe red blood cells.
That's incomprehensible.
It is incomprehensible.
I can't get my imagination to imagine, first of all, the scale that you're talking about and the quantity within my body, and then to think that there's it's like Whoville. There's all these like little factories and characters. There's like blue collar little things doing their job in there.
And speaking of Dr. Seuss, the more we discover, the more it's the 500 hats of Bartholomew Cubbins. You take one away, there's another one underneath.
Oh, there's more in there.
And crazy. Yeah. So
would your point about elegance kind of just be about like intentionality? Like it's just so evident that there is intentional purpose behind everything?
There is. That's the amazing. Unless something's messed up.
Right. So, last year I I was in a class that you spoke to, and I wrote down notes in my little notebook. And
she has the notebook right here.
One thing you said was there's no intrinsic value in anything if evolution is true, which I find really interesting because it seems that evolution is very based on random and creation is very based on intentionality. So I want to know, can you unpack that no intrinsic value thing?
Well, I think you said it
okay.
Right. If the theory of evolution is true, aside from the theistic evolutionists who believe there's a God who has designed things and gotten them started so that they would progress along a certain path, right? So there are people like that too, but that are evolutionists. But for those who take evolution to its natural conclusion, right, which is agnostic or atheist, right? There is no intrinsic value in anything.
Right.
So one of the big name evolutionists whose name escapes me. I mean, just about every name escapes me now. So
That's okay.
the titles of books escape me now. Everything escapes me now. But his first name was Bill. Anyway, and I can't remember his last name. Taught at Cornell. I can tell you about him, but I can't remember his name. But had this saying. He said, "When I die," or he said, when you're born, it's like walking onto the stage, and then you walk across and you fall off the stage and you're done, and that's it. And there is nothing after that. And if that's true, then in a sense, nothing matters, right? Nothing about our lives matters. Now we can make our own purpose. We can believe that we have a purpose. We can sort of forge our own purposes for life. I can try and raise my children ethically, and do those things. I can try and treat people well. I can try not to pollute too much and ruin this world this world that has evolved, right? I mean, I can do those things, but the evolutionists like Richard Dawkins, the atheist evolutionists, are quite clear, that there's no purpose behind anything.
Right.
Right? And so we have no purpose. And we feel like we have a purpose, but that's just our imagination.
The first time I ever heard someone say the world groans was in that presentation you gave, and it's so beautiful. But you said the whole world groans, suffering entered the ecosphere when Adam and Eve sinned. So obviously that led to a trajectory of sinning. And then another thing you said was that even imperfect stewards are given authority to make decisions. So I guess I'm curious if you think that maybe our intimate connection and understanding to our own deterioration is what allows us to be in need of creation to be true. Or like there are two places in which God comes down to us to touch the earth, which would be in creation and then in the incarnate man, right? So the gospel seems very connected to creation, and if you take one or the other away, you kind of lose both, right? So I'm intrigued about creation works because we know we're sinful and we're falling, like we're the ones deteriorating. Well,
you know something? So when I said, even sinful stewards are still given their stewardship by God. I mean, Adam and Eve, he didn't revoke that from Adam and Eve, that, to tend the world. He didn't revoke that after they sinned. He did run them out of the garden after they sinned, though. And so that is a really good question.
I'd like to take a swing at that.
Okay.
I think this has to do with where is humanity's place in the cosmos? Are we at the top? If you think about progress, you think humanity is the most advanced thing and is the boss, is in charge, and there's nobody above us, right? And this is from our understanding. Well, this is kind of Satan's original temptation. Did God really say? Well,
yep.
If you do this, you'll be like God. And that's been an ongoing problem throughout history, in the heart of every person. Mm-hmm. Are you below God or are you above God? And the frightening thing that I remember seeing in, I think C.S. Lewis's book, The Great Divorce, just a fascinating fantasy sort of take. There's a conversation in which it's revealed that sometimes God says, "Thy will be done" to a human, and that's a bad situation. When God finally says, "Thy will be done" to you, you might not like what you asked for. right? But if you insist. So that's my take on, I think, Claire's question.
I'll address it maybe tangentially here. It's just interesting because there's such a spectrum of what people believe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So for the theory of evolution, how that might tie into this, you have everything from the robber barons who are practicing the survival of the fittest in an economic sense, right? And then destroying the environment as they go back in the early 1900s. But they were social Darwinists, right? Or economic Darwinists. And then on the other hand, you have you have people who believe that, and it sort of goes to what Jason just said, that, well, we're it. Mm-hmm. If this world is going to be preserved for anybody after us, it's going to have to be us that do it. And so there are people, even evolutionists, who believe that and say, so they want to take care of the world and they want to do a good job of it. Some of them, and many of them, in fact. And so you just have this broad group of people and all connected by that same idea of evolution. But some practice really good stewardship. Some are very practical, who just want to take care of the environment, and they don't want to do it in an onerous way that's too onerous for people. They want to have a good conservation department at the state of Minnesota, and that we take care of the animals and the trees and the forests as best we can, right? And not go overboard. And then you have those that go overboard and insist that humans are no different than animals and they should have the exact same rights that we do, right? So
I see competition and philanthropy kind of on different, maybe debating concepts about how should we live, or what is reality? What is the nature of being a human? So some, take this stance that this sort of law of the jungle, eat or be eaten. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is, and if you believe that that's just the way it is, you're going to act certain ways, mm-hmm. defensively.
That's for sure.
In order to just, I suppose, be kind, to defend your people, right? Because it's competitive. Mm-hmm. And underneath that, there's a thought that there's only so much to go around. Scarcity.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Right? That informs, it undergirds that idea of competition.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like manna. I like the way that God enters situations that seem impossible and then just does the impossible.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that's the model of grace, a lost, just a mess of humanity, mm-hmm. an ugly mess of humanity. God so loved that ugly mess.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "'Tis time to have compassion."
Yeah.
And then did the impossible. God contained the infinite in the finite. He became flesh, dwelled among us. That doesn't happen. And then allowed himself to die ugly. Mm-hmm. The depth of that ugliness displays the height of his grace, his love.
Mm-hmm.
The depths that he would go to rescue us.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. It's unfathomable.
And unfathomable is the point.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting in trouble when we keep trying to explain things. So the scarcity thing, the competition thing,
mm-hmm.
According, like all things being equal, there's probably trouble, but God's surprising. Grace is surprising.
Yep.
things happen that you didn't see coming. No, I think we want to hear about Australia now. Thank you very much.
Okay, what do you want to know?
This is Doyle's show.
Oh,
Fire away.
What do you want to know?
well, all right. Where are you from?
Brisbane. So it's East Coast, kind of a little north of halfway up, I would say.
Okay, and big city,
Yeah.
Brisbane.
Yeah.
Is it, okay, when I think of Australia, I think of desert, right?
Most people do.
I know. So how much of it is desert?
The entire center. I think people have a misconception that it's all desert. They're not wrong that it is majority desert, but it's where people live isn't desert necessarily. I mean, there are towns out west, or out east if you're from the West Coast. For me, it's out west. But basically the very vast majority of the population is just all around the coast. And the coast is like hills and rainforests, at least further north where I am. So my version of Australia is like beaches and rainforests and like small mountains, and city.
Okay.
If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Green fields.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like the farmland.
Yeah, so you don't, when you see it in TV shows, it's mostly...
Yeah, they show the outback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Mad Max, there was...
Yeah.
I don't remember anything.
The red clay is very iconic. And I mean, you find the red clay like in, like where I live, like my backyard. If you dig underneath like the turf and soil we've put down, it's red clay.
Ah.
Or there is red clay in there.
Uh-huh.
So.
Ah, okay. All right. Have you seen a box jelly or whatever that is? That
I haven't
is
seen a box jelly, but I've seen many
toxic.
Portuguese man o' war. We call them what do we call them? I've forgotten the common name we normally call them, like the blue bottles.
Oh,
is what I grew up calling them. But I'm pretty sure that's the same thing as a Portuguese man o' war.
blue bottles?
Blue bottle, yeah.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
let me double check that one for you. I'm going to fact check
Now
myself.
I realize we're getting into marine biology.
Yeah. Blue bottle jellyfish.
I
Yeah,
just wondered because
it's-
you like the beach.
Yes, but no. I live closer to the city in the Moreton Bay region. So Moreton Island is right there. So that beach is not good. It's murky and there's no surf because of the island. And there's a bunch of Portuguese men of war. So it's not great for swimming. But if you go like 45 minutes north, then we've got the Sunshine Coast. Beautiful. And less jellyfish.
Ever been stung?
I haven't actually, but I know plenty of people who have. I don't know anyone who's had like a serious sting, but we're just like that hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the culture like in Australia as compared with here? Is it?
I think it's not like a super drastic difference in the sense that I didn't find it too hard to adjust. Especially the Midwest is more laid back, I think, than other parts of the country might be. I can't say from experience. It's basically, I only know the Midwest, essentially.
Is Australia that way?
Yeah, it's more laid back. Everyone is just there to hang out. I mean, there's work. I don't want to say there's not hardworking Australians. I think there are Australians who work very hard and are very hard workers and very, like, diligent. But I think it says something when, like, the whole concept of our accent is that it's just as lazy as possible. It's like the way we say words is just, how can I say this with as little effort as possible?
We were talking about deterioration earlier.
Well, yeah. So while it is like, there are people who work very hard, and I see that a lot. It is like, I think that does say something about the culture, is that our entire way of speaking is just, how do I do this without putting effort into it? I also think that's why my sister and I both lost our accents so easily, because there's no muscle memory. I mean, there's a little bit, but it's like there's no muscle memory. So then when I say a couple words in an American accent to like someone doesn't understand me, and I start speaking in American accent, and I start developing a muscle memory, then I don't have a different muscle memory to return to, and I have to actually really think about just like flattening my voice. If that makes sense.
That was pretty good right there.
Yeah, I'm trying right now, because if my parents listen to this, they're going to be really disappointed if they hear just all American.
Really?
Yeah. Like, not like,
No.
disappointed
Really, as in like you're intentionally working your
A little
Australian
bit.
accent right now?
It's like when I think about it. Yeah.
Interesting. Because I was going to take issue with you saying that you've lost your accent.
Yeah. No, it's... I have good days and bad days.
Okay, so switch to Minnesota.
Oh, I don't know. I can't really... Hold on.
The no was there.
I think you just did it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
It's more like... It's not so much like a full accent, but it's the hard R. We don't have that in Australia. That's just doesn't exist. And now I say almost all my words with a hard R.
Word.
There it is, hard R.
But then it's so
Hard
annoying.
R.
The issue comes when
Hard
it's
R.
like... there'll be words
That is pretty lazy, isn't it?
that to me rhyme, because like rhyme in quotation marks. For example, this has been a really big issue. This one is like, I would say art class, but then I'm just in the zone of using that like hard R, making myself understood to Americans, and so I say art, and to me art and class have the same sound. So then I say art class, and I sound like an idiot.
Ah,
So that's my big gripe with how my accent has morphed.
Okay, sorry, Doyle. You had good momentum, and we derailed you.
that's okay. I was on my last question, I think.
Oh, okay. Maybe Claire has some about Australia.
About Australia?
Yeah.
Well, I never considered the accent thing. That's really interesting.
It's okay, every time I call my parents, they bring it up.
Your sister did lose
Yeah.
hers mostly. Yeah. It was hard to tell.
Did it partially intentionally because she was sick of people not understanding her, but it's still, once you start, you can't stop.
So it's essentially that once you work the muscles to say the words harder
Yeah.
air quotes way,
Yeah.
they'll stay there.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
that's how it feels for me anyway.
Huh.
I don't know if everyone would agree. And obviously it's not the case every time. Like Brad Coco and Tim Hartwig, they clung to their accents.
Hey, they still got it.
Well, Brad is not nearly as pronounced as his was when he got here, though. At least when he got to
yeah.
Peace. So he's slowly changing.
He's still done better than me, though, in clinging to it.
I would encourage you to keep it.
I know. I'm doing my best. Doing my
Find
best.
find that
guys.
spot where people understand you. You know.
Yeah.
But honor your roots.
Yeah. They still don't understand me at restaurants, though, when I ask for water.
Ah,
That's the one.
water.
Yeah, water. And then I've said it 3 times, and it feels condescending to go water.
Oh.
So it's, I don't know.
Interesting.
That's the silly one.
It's interesting that you can just do it. You can just flip them.
Mm-hmm. That was fast.
Yeah.
Thank you. And also, I watched a lot of American television growing up, so
That's good.
very familiar with the accent. My pastas have always been American.
Mm.
Because we call them from here. Yeah, because it's the one. It's the one that's there.
Oh, I thought there
Basically.
was 2.
Kind of, yeah. It's kind of like a... I think now that Skylar's there, he's doing more work to like bring them more into the fold, but it's... Yeah. That's about it, is those 2, 1.5 kind of. But they're both very small, both of them.
Do you surf?
No. I know a couple people, maybe even... I think I know like maybe 2 people that surf actually. Just because like growing up there wasn't surf near my house, so we'd have to drive like an hour, 45 minutes maybe. And I guess it never occurred to me or my sisters to ask to surf, and we weren't at the beach. Like we'd just go like for fun during the summer sometimes, like a family day trip. It wasn't like the beach is there, let's go surfing. But
Ever had a field trip in school?
I was homeschooled.
Ever had a field trip?
Not to the beach.
No, I don't mean to the beach. I mean, this is a total change.
Oh, total change. I
Yeah.
see. Yeah, I mean, we did field trips to like the museum. What was it? Let me think. It was when we went to like a really old-timey jail, and it was spelled Gaol. That's how old-timey it was.
Gaol.
Yeah.
Jail.
Yeah.
Jail.
Super old-timey jail. Because there would be like homeschool groups that would get together. Co-ops. Yeah.
We do
But a
that
lot of
here.
music, yeah.
Okay, so this might be really dumb.
Yes.
How did your family get to Australia? Are you descended from British criminals?
Well, that's actually a good question. Okay. I've got 4 different locations of origin. So my mother's parents, both of her parents were born in Germany, and then immigrated to Australia. Her dad when he was an adult, but I think her mother moved when she was a child. So that was like came straight from Germany, and then my dad's parents, his father grew up in Ireland, but my dad's mother, my grandmother, I'm pretty sure that part of the family has been in Australia since close to the original colonies, but I'm not sure exactly, and I don't know if it was convicts or the police, or they did send just like civilian colonizers eventually. That could have, I'm not 100% certain, but that quarter of my family has been in the country for
1/4 criminal.
potentially.
We talked
Kidding.
about the degenerate nature of all humans.
Well, there you go.
All humans.
Do you feel like you're British? Do you feel like, do people in Australia feel a strong connection?
I guess in a way, but more in like a cousins kind of way.
Oh.
Like maybe like the US and Canada, but more distant. But it's like I watched like BBC growing up. Like that was like I watched American and British TV because Australian TV's not huge. There's not a lot of it. I mean, there's Bluey now. Bluey's a great show.
We love Bluey.
Yes. But so I guess I'm more familiar with British culture than a lot of Americans would be, but it still is like different country. Obviously Australia is still part of the Commonwealth, but I don't know. It's like just like geographically it's quite far.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bit of struggle there and like being like, oh, we're so close. I was like, yeah. Also very like, if we're talking like climate wise, it's so different, and I think that has a lot of effect on the culture. Where it's like we have very different cultures just because of the climates we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we had climate whiplash
We did.
here in Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
It had been, my car thermometer last night said 60 on the drive home.
Yeah, I know. Mine got up to like 58 last evening.
Yeah, which for context, we're coming out of winter here, and so that's quite
We're
warm.
recording in February.
Yeah, and then today, snow everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Wet
So-
snow.
So what's winter like back home?
Well, depends where. People don't realize that we do actually have ski resorts down south. So we do get, I mean, it's more up in the mountains, like even where they do get snow, it's not like everywhere. But they're nice ski resorts
So
as
it's
well.
colder
Threadbow.
down south.
Claire's
Yeah.
just figuring out
Yeah,
hemispheres.
that makes sense. Wow. Look at me.
But where I live, Brisbane, it's subtropical. So when like the past like week or two we had where it was like, wow, so that's winter for me.
Aren't they flip-flop too? It's like,
Yeah, so it's summer right now back home.
okay.
It's when I came in the middle of, like, I left the middle, like, when I first got here. It was the middle of summer, and I got here.
January.
Dude,
Yeah, in January.
That's tough.
In the Midwest.
You come from subtropical?
Yes, and so it's like, 1, complete season change. 2, it doesn't get that cold.
Yeah.
Do you have your American license yet?
No.
Driver's license?
Yeah. I do not.
It's okay.
What are the high temperatures like in the summer down there?
I would need to check the conversion.
Oh, you can say Celsius.
Celsius?
He knows.
Oh yeah, scientist. It gets up to 40 sometimes, but that's that is the middle of summer.
Can you transpose
30s
that?
That'd be over 100. I don't know. What,
30s
101 or 2
is
or
what
3
you would
maybe.
expect.
Is it wet, hot, or dry hot?
Humid.
Okay.
Very
Really?
humid. In Brisbane? I mean, there's if you
That's
go,
what I wasn't
Adelaide is
thinking.
very dry.
But I'm supposed to be dry hot
Okay.
in the desert, right?
But Brisbane, it's more, I think, south. I don't know. I can't speak for the middle. I've not been to the middle very much.
That's fair.
But like in Adelaide, which is in South Australia, so like in the big bite, at the bottom, gets very dry there. But Brisbane during the summer is very humid. Very dry during the winter though. So it's a wet season and a dry season. And it's so humid. You know how here we have the saying it's not the cold, it's the wind. It's not the heat, it's the humidity, which you probably have as
we
well.
have
It
that
gets
too.
humid here, but
Yeah.
that's the big one. Is what everyone's saying every single day. It's just humid.
Wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the humidity.
Yeah.
I like knowing that mosquitoes are called mozzies.
Muzzies, yeah.
Mozzies. You got more for me?
Oh, there's
More
a lot.
Australianisms.
Let's see. Okay, we've got mosquitoes or muzzies. Gas station. We would call it a petrol station, but then we take it a step further and it's a servo, which is short for service station. So servo, you go to the servo to fill your car up with petrol. Liquor stores are called bottle-os because it's a bottle shop.
Funny.
That's a bottle-o.
Bottle-o.
It's all O's. What's another one?
Servo. I'll write these down.
This isn't like a slang one, but the other week I said to someone that they looked snug as a bug, and they didn't know what I meant.
Oh,
Really?
that's not them, or that's not Australia.
That's them?
That's their problem.
I thought that was
Yeah.
weird.
We know that.
I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm not
Don't
going
worry.
insane.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of O's, a lot of nicknames as well. Like, Sharon. The name Sharon is very often nicknamed as Shazza.
Shazza?
Yeah. Harry could be Hazza.
Okay.
John or Jonathan would be Jono.
Okay, that would make sense.
Is
got the
there
O.
What
is
Jason?
there a Jason?
Jaso.
I want one.
Jaza.
I don't know.
You mean Jaza.
Jazo.
Jazo,
Jazo.
you could be. You could make it happen.
Doyle would just be Doylo.
Yo-yo? Yo-yo?
I think that makes
You
it
gotta make
harder
it
to
shorter.
say.
Yeah, Doy.
Yeah.
We'll just call him Doy. Dr. Doy.
No, hold on. It wasn't snug as a bug. It was rugged up.
Oh,
that's
yeah, that's
new.
a little bit weird.
I mixed it up.
That
Yeah,
is
it was rugged up
Rugged
because
up?
you are snug as a bug in a rug. You're rugged
You're
up.
rugged up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it was,
Yeah,
guys.
I wouldn't know what that is.
Yeah. I'm all
Yeah,
rugged up.
I
would-
might have
if
to
you-
use that sometime.
If you told me that, I'd be like,
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
I'm rugged up.
I misremembered my own saying.
dude.
But yeah, there's
Yeah.
like this line of this sort of chain. It's like an evolution,
Yeah.
except it's degenerating. I remember learning that in Canada, what we call a hoodie
Is it jumper? No.
is a bunny hug.
Ugh.
That's so cute.
A bunny hug.
That is so cute.
Put your bunny hug on.
Yeah, we
That
call
is-
them all jumpers.
Yeah.
This is a jumper. That's a jumper.
Wow.
Not
Any
a
kind
jumper.
of sweater?
That's a vest.
You call a vest a vest?
Yeah.
Sense.
But like, because you would call
That's
that what, a sweater, and this a sweatshirt or a hoodie.
Uh-huh.
These are both jumpers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So are you from Canada?
No, I have a neighbor from Canada.
Oh, okay.
He's from
I
New Ulm,
learned it.
Minnesota.
Yeah. I learned it, and I'm just providing momentum.
I don't know anything about Oklahoma.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
What?
It's a lot like Minnesota, except warmer.
Oh. I wanted to go there last year for over Christmas break. I wanted to take some friends. I was like, who's ever been to Oklahoma?
Oh,
But we didn't.
Dr. Doy.
We went to Phoenix instead.
oh. Well,
That's different.
they're both
know.
southwest, but Phoenix is a lot farther west.
Right.
Not
Okay.
too much farther south,
Right,
but a lot
Oklahoma
farther
first.
west.
What part of it do you live in?
Well, I lived in two parts. I lived
part or the handle part?
we lived near Arkansas, so the eastern part,
Okay.
northeastern part. And it's hilly there. It's
Are the Appalachian Mountains that far over?
Well, it's the Ozarks. The Ozark Hills come into Oklahoma.
Okay.
For about 30 or 40 miles. You can pick them up along the eastern edge of Oklahoma. Probably 30 miles, maybe. Well, I don't know. As the crow flies, probably 25 or 30 miles. But as the roads go, those roads are curvy. So maybe 40 miles in, and then it begins to level out some. And two big cities in Oklahoma, Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and big metro areas. Oklahoma City's over 1 million now, I think, in their metro area, so it's getting large, which is why they have a pro basketball team now. And I don't know what Tulsa is. As you go west, it gets much drier. Much drier. It's forested on the eastern side.
Okay.
And as you go west, it's much drier. It turns into grassland and wheat country and cattle. And
Ozarks is like Hatfield's McCoy's land, right? How
sort
close
of,
would you be to like all that business?
Yeah, that's.
I don't know. I feel like when I was a little kid, my mom was like,
if you want that, you really need to be in either northern Arkansas or southern Missouri.
Okay.
And that's the Ozarks are a much bigger part of Missouri than they are Oklahoma, and there's not a lot of that mindset anymore. I don't think.
Right.
But they, people kind of trade on that atmosphere. So in southern Missouri, you've got Silver Dollar City, which is and Branson, which is all together there. Branson and Silver Dollar City have been together for a long time. Silver Dollar City used to be just outside Branson. I think it's part of Branson now, but right. So that's a big tourist area, and for the tourist areas, I mean, the Hatfield and McCoy kind of thing, the hillbilly kind of mindset, is played up for tourists, but.
Is it mostly like hilly and creeks and?
It is. It's very pretty and rocky soil though, which lends itself to the sort of the poverty that was there a long time ago and still is in some pockets, right? Some poverty, but Branson has taken away some of the poverty there. And
you're heading back home. You're going back?
Yeah, at least for a while. At least while our moms are alive, we'll be there probably. Yep.
And how does that feel after this career of kind of moving around and being different places?
Yeah, until about 5 years ago, when I would cross the Oklahoma border driving home, I felt like I was home. Felt like, whew, I'm home. And it doesn't feel that way anymore. Yeah, we've lived so long in Minnesota now, almost 20 years. If we're here in August, it'll be 20 years. So that sort of feeling is gone. But
so now you're leaving.
Yeah.
You're leaving home.
Yeah. Yeah, Lord willing. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. It's Earth. It's not our final home. So it's
true.
It's just.
Or is it they're trying to find someone to take your position? Is that the wait for you?
Yes, it was to see what goes on with that, and we if need be, I can help out another semester probably, but I need to be in the process of moving during that semester because my mom is expecting us and to be coming down and sort of she's looking forward to it. I think. I hope
I'm
she
sure
is. Hope she is. She might secretly be saying, "No."
Do you surf?
No, I couldn't even skateboard. So.
Not much surfing in Oklahoma.
No, there's not. Well, there's water
even
skiing.
Less.
There's a lot of water skiing.
There's
a lot of lakes in Oklahoma.
I like to water ski. Grew up water skiing.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Still do it.
Makes his own skis.
Sometimes.
Oh, you're kidding. I've tried
Sometimes.
twice and got up a little ways once and before I fell back in.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, right. When you're first learning, yeah. And, but they're, after the Dust Bowl days, they built a lot of lakes. And so.
Oh, they're man-made.
Yeah, most of them. So, unlike Minnesota, where there's not that many reservoirs in Minnesota. But
Yeah, we're kind of rich here
yeah, that's right.
with water holes. Somebody just asked me, what's that creepy bird that makes the sound out on the water? Somebody from Florida.
Is it the loon?
That's what I said. Yeah. She said, yeah, my dad played that for me on a video, and I got creeped out.
Oh, I like that sound.
I thought,
I think it's delightful.
I like loons.
I know. Yeah, it's neat.
I always forget what they sound like.
It's that dumb call Matthew's always doing with his hands. I can't do it.
If you didn't know what it was and you were out alone in the woods,
Yeah.
That's fair.
you might be creeped out by
Yeah,
it.
right. There's no real parallel
No.
to it.
I know.
What is that?
Yeah, it's neat.
No, foxes are kind of scary to hear.
Foxes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever heard of fox.
I
thought
haven't
they
in
didn't
person
say
either,
anything.
but one
That's
of
why
my
there's a song
friends
about them.
a few years ago, because we have some foxes in Australia. Again, never seen them in the wild, but apparently we have them.
There's some
She was like,
What does it sound
my
like?
dad, she was like, we all just heard some woman screaming in the woods behind it was a fox. Because they yowl. I don't know. It's,
Wow.
I think that's, maybe a
Yeah.
little more horrifying.
I would think so.
But
Just to
I feel
scream
like
in the woods.
Fox
there's
beats
foxes
loon.
everywhere. Surely,
I've never heard one.
okay. Yeah.
But it makes
apparently
sense.
they make a really scary sound. Yeah.
That's news to me.
Yeah. If you want to feel better about the loon.
I feel fine about the loon. I like the loon. Well, I think we've had a tremendous episode here.
It's been
As
fun.
as predicted, I sense the momentum, and it's time for closing thoughts. If anybody maybe has something that you want to put in people's ears before we sign off. Last call.
Taking her notes.
Yeah, I gotta
She's got the
whip out
notebook.
the little book. I guess just a quote from Jason a couple weeks ago. He says, "If you can do it, you can give it." You made it! That's the end of this episode of Whistle the Feast. It was so nice to have you join the table. Whistle the Feast would definitely not be possible without all of the brilliant and delightful people and spaces at Bethany Lutheran College. Head on over to blc.edu to learn more about the college or schedule a visit. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any thoughts, questions, or feedback. We always love hearing from our community. You can send feedback directly about the show to feastreaders@gmail.com. A huge shout out to the wonderful people who stretch beyond this campus for sharing their thoughts with us, and our producer, Jaksyn Graham, for orchestrating the numerous edits. And with that, I'm Claire Marcus, alongside Jason Jaspersen, and we want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Whistle the Feast. See you soon!
Get curious, be of good service, and discover what God has given you.